Congressman Adam Schiff, the chair of the House Intelligence Committee, Democrat from Burbank. Congressman Schiff, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Your reaction to this commutation?
Well, tragically, it wasn't unexpected because the president has been telegraphing this was his intent. Weeks ago, he and the attorney general intervened to try to get a lesser sentencing recommendation for Stone. And now that wasn't good enough. They have intervened, at least the president has intervened, to commute the sentence completely. The message that Donald Trump is sending is, if you lie for me, if you cover up for me, I will protect you. And that is such a destructive message when it comes to the rule of law and the independence of our justice system. After all, what Roger Stone did is he came before our committee, the Intelligence Committee. He lied to Democrats and Republicans on the committee. He sought to intimidate witnesses to get them to similarly lie or cover up for the president. And obstructed our investigation. He was convicted by a jury of his peers on every single count. And if that were any other American, not a crony of the president's, they'd be going to jail for a long time. And sadly, this commutation means that in America, we have now two justice systems, one for cronies of the president and one for everybody else.
So what do you now do about that? If you believe that, it's your job to investigate the president. Like we had Ambassador John Bolton. I interviewed him a few days ago, and he said, look, the impeachment didn't work because now the president saw that he was acquitted. He thinks he can go forward with this behavior and thinks that there's no penalty. What's the penalty to President Trump for doing this, and what's to stop him from doing this over and over again?
Well, first of all, in terms of John Bolton, he had an opportunity to hold the president accountable and refused. So he's in a poor position as a commentator on that. But in terms of what can be done about the president to prevent the president from continuing to do this, the only remedy left really is to vote him out of office in November. Ultimately, that's the way we protect the justice system in this country. If you have a president who abuses the power of his office time after time, that's what needs to be done. And, I think one thing Bolton did get right is that Donald Trump only acts in his personal interest. He doesn't care about the national interest. And in the case of the Justice Department, I think this is true of Bill Barr as well. The president is acting to protect himself. This is someone, Roger Stone, who lied for the president. This is someone who could still spill on the president. And so he is acting to protect himself. He is going after his enemies. That's what Donald Trump does. And given that the senators won't hold him accountable, the only remedy is to vote him out of office.
And real quickly, if he isn't voted out of office, what does he do in a second term when he doesn't have to worry about the electorate anymore?
Well, that's a terrifying prospect because, as you say, whatever little constraint there has been on this president by his desire for re-election would be gone in a second term. And he will feel not only free to, break down the system of justice further, but he will feel vindicated in the anti-democratic actions he's already taken. So, it's hard to look at the country and the damage that's already been incurred. I don't know what the country looks like if we have to go through another 4 years of this.
Of course, the biggest issue that most Americans, most of your constituents here in Southern California care about right now is not Roger Stone. It's the coronavirus. Millions of people unemployed, people dying, more than 100,000 Americans dead, people concerned that many of the federal benefits that they've been enjoying set to dry up in the coming months. What is the status of getting more relief for people, your constituents, that are suffering right now?
Alex, you're absolutely right. I mean, the top issue far and away is the health of the American people right now. These two issues, though, are not unrelated. I think part of the president's motivation is to distract from his poor handling of this pandemic and change the subject to Roger Stone. But the Americans, won't have the subject changed. They are concerned about their health. They're concerned about their economic livelihood. We have a major package that we passed, as you point out, the HEROES Act, that would provide about $2 to $3 trillion in additional relief to help small businesses, to help hospitals, to help schools, to help states and cities get through this. And that's being held up right now by Mitch McConnell. We need action on this. The pandemic isn't sadly going away anytime soon. We need to ramp up our testing and our tracing, our capacity to isolate those who get sick. We need to make sure we have the protective gear in the hospital space. And so we need quick action on this legislation.
All right, Congressman Adam Schiff, thank you for joining us and for sharing your views, and have a nice weekend.
You too. Thanks, Alex.
All right, coming up next.